What do you figure, twos? Mashup 46, big fella.
I figure you should have not cut me out of the damn song because I wanted to rant about airports.
I bet you did. And sadly, I'm not sad. You know, as the banner said, should we let twos around the song? Didn't think so. Hey, man, Mashup 46, new week, new sponsor. This is kind of interesting, you know?
That's very interesting.
How about Vern and Barb Luther, Riskin' Hope Farm? So Rough Rider fans will know all about this. From what I'm told, they gauge this as the halfway point home from Regina to Saskatoon on Highway 11. So isn't that cool? Yeah,
their barn and Crake. So I mean, it's a great location. It's pretty darn central as far as Saskatchewan goes, and you can see it from a ways off because it's Saskatchewan.
And I would say most of us have traveled that highway a few different times, and Rough Rider fans certainly probably know exactly what they're talking about. They got a bull sale coming up Sunday, March 26th. They have yearling bulls, which will be sold on that day, and you can either do it in person or bid online through DLMS. I hope I said that right. All the stuff will be in the show notes. So the phone number to get a hold of Vern if you need more information, of course, right there. The website, all that good stuff we'll toss in the show notes. Here's the other wild thing, you know, strange La La Land. Did you see what RM they're in?
They're in RM 222.
I fucking kid you not, folks. RM 222. Like, there is such a place. I'm surprised they haven't got like twos here.
Like, why did they not
or
mention
maybe
this
the mayor
before? I am
or
not
the council, whatever it is.
RM 222. I've got some issues with Hanley that go back a long ways.
That's just wild to me. They send us this email and they're like, "Oh yeah, we got this local business, 222 Metalworks." I'm like, "What? Is this a joke? Like, are they joking?"
And why have they never mentioned it?
Exactly. Well, and 222 Metalworks is working with them to build a fire pit that's custom. It's going to have 222 Metalworks plus 3 4-H logo plus their farm, and then the buyer gets to put their last name on it. Anyways, all the proceeds go to a 4-H club in Hanley.
Yes.
You're spitting Oh man. And then of course I disappear. My audio.
No, your audio was good right until you did that. Okay, so folks, so Sean's gone. We can't hear him. So I'm just going to do the show myself for a while. I thought this was just a wonderful, heartwarming email where they said that they don't really know if there's a lot of people who would be interested in the bull sale per se that listen to the show, but there's a lot of people that eat beef and they really appreciate it, and they want to encourage people to buy local and support their stuff. And they thought that what we're doing really resonates with them, which I think is very cool. I like the fact that the kind of people that I really admire are tuning in every week to listen to our take on what's happening in Canada and the world.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. And I don't know. You've said it all. For anyone who's interested, all you beef people, all you bull salesmen, people, cattle folk looking for such things, show notes has all the information. But yeah, super cool.
So,
this is what's cool about opening it up to just not one company.
Yeah, to anybody who's interested, basically.
We've had a
And
little interesting go, haven't we?
yeah, oh, I love it. I feel like
Anytime
this
you can
is
get twos to spit on the ground when a town is mentioned, I'm curious. Here, I thought he'd have he'd be wagging himself all over the place because there's a place called RM222. Anyways, that's what I thought.
it's Hanley, man.
I guess so.
I like
What do you think, Hanley?
they build
Little
their
Tuesday
football
mashup in
players. They
In
build their
Hanley,
football players in
Saskatchewan, just
test
to
tubes
see
there.
twos squirm. Ooh, I like this. I like this.
Yeah, honestly, I'd rather drink Lorburn water, but sure.
Yeah,
No, I'm kidding. I, I, it's just that classic Saskatchewan thing of rivalries between different towns and whatever else. And then when you actually get down to the nitty gritty of it, everybody's the same. They've got the coffee shop, they've got the post office, they've got the Chinese food
I
restaurant.
was gonna say they got the one Chinese food restaurant,
Yep,
and everywhere claims they have the best rink burger. That's just me. Anyways,
yeah,
we'll get
and
it.
they're all
That's
lying except for one.
for where? Where
I can't.
for
Yeah.
where twos? Twos? Where?
No,
Oh, you can't
just
say?
no.
Is it Hanley, Saskatchewan?
It is not. Yeah, I've never had a rink burger in Hanley. I think I've curled there, but I don't think I ever had a rink burger.
Um. So, well, cool. Once again, in the show notes, that's Vern and Barb, Luther, Riskin, Hope Farm.
Yep.
So cool. Mashup 46.
And
Brought to you by-
don't forget not only just the beef sale, the bull sale, but also the fundraiser with the fire pit that you can customize if you end up being the high bidder.
Correct, and it's all going to a 4-H club, which is super cool.
And it's gonna say 222 on it. So what more do you want?
Here's my final plug for the SMP Presents on the Tuesday mashup. Then twos can stop harassing me about stealing airtime. But
Oh my God. You're such a commie.
Tuesday the SMP Presents Legacy Media happens this Saturday in Edmonton. And Twos is going to be there. I know nobody wants to go see him, but he will be in attendance. He will be in the audience. On stage will be Kid Carson, Wayne Peters, Chris Sims, Byron Christopher. You can buy that. That's in, if you're listening on the podcast, that's in the show notes as well. Otherwise, just go to my social media. You can find the links there. Should be a fun night. Confirmed.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say, I was thinking about all the different names, like Sheila Gunn Reid comes to mind. I've mentioned on here, Tamara Leach is going to be in the audience, Andy Lee, Nadine Ness, Marty Up North, great, Leighton Gray. Leighton Gray, I heard, going to be, roaming around as well. And Mr. Shane Getson, who's been on the podcast several times, MLA from out that way. So it should be an interesting night. So if you haven't bought tickets, certainly would love to see some folks there. And I think it's going to be a fun night.
Absolutely. And if you're listening to this on my 222 cents and you haven't listened to Byron Christopher's recent interview with Sean, it's a must listen. Hands down.
He is a wild man.
Just crazy stories.
Yeah. For a 74-year-old,
he really opened up the second time around.
Yeah. Well, super cool guy. It kind of feels almost like a kindred spirit, if you would, except obviously he's 40 years older than me, roughly. Interesting man.
Like maybe 30, but yeah.
Oh, Twos is firing tonight. I'm excited. Okay, let's get on to Mashup 46, shall we? As we did last week, I'm just hitting the timer. We're gonna see how much we go over. It's supposed to be, I think, 28 minutes. We never seem to hit that, but we'll see what we can do this week, folks. Oh, and by the listeners' account last week, 220. Nobody was like, the buzzer sucks, minus one person. Everybody said, the buzzer was, they kind of don't mind it.
Yeah. You don't appreciate what you got till it's gone, hey?
I guess so. I was surprised.
I think we realized just as we were about to air that there's still a couple sound effects that we're unable to try this week. So we're going to keep doing this for at least one more week.
I hear you. I kind of like that. I feel like it's time to get going.
On the scale.
All right, let's fire up the timer. Bing, it's going. Here we go. Liberals are back in black. The Canadian government is committing $10 million in federal funding to help 200 black families in the greater Toronto area purchase their first home Ahmed Hussein, the Minister of Housing, Diversity, and Inclusion, made the announcement during a news conference Friday morning, saying the funding will be given to the Black North Homeownership Bridge program in partnership with Habitat for Humanity, GTA. He was quoted as saying, "There's no part of our society where Black Canadians don't face systemic barriers, including when it comes to having a safe and affordable place to call home." He told reporters on Friday. He also said, consistently, we see Black Canadians with higher housing needs and with lower home ownership numbers, far significantly lower than the average population. And we recognize that there's a systemic issue here that we need to address.
I thought of something just as you were saying this. I wonder what the polling numbers are in the specific riding that this is going to happen in, because they're handpicking 200 families to give $50,000 each to. This is just it's some kind of like a Powerball lottery thing, but you got to be Black to win it. And this is the same government, this is the same cabinet within, or the same minister in the same cabinet in the same portfolio, who literally at the end of January refused funding for the Confederate Railroad Church for not being Black enough.
Correct.
So you got to ask yourself, have they actually figured their shit out? They're liberals, so probably not. Or how incredibly Black do you have to be to qualify for this? And how do they quantify it?
I was just gonna say, from an Alberta perspective, taking all the race and everything out of it, if you can't afford a home and you're struggling, every business in this area is hiring right now. So if you're listening out in Toronto, just come this way. Just make it simple. If you're a good worker, it don't matter. Come this way, and people put you to work, and you'll be able to afford a home pretty darn quick. I mean, like that's my thoughts. I read this article. I'm like. And I know we're tying it into the the church, right? It was a church, right?
Yep.
Twos, and you're just like,
the
this
Church
is
of the Underground Railroad,
right.
I think I said
We read this
Railroad,
article
which was
like
the 80s band,
obviously a month,
but yeah.
probably like 5-6 mashups ago, right? That's pretty much what it was.
Yeah.
And we're like, this is wild. And then you see this, anyways, $50,000 going to 200 different families. Yeah, I mean, what can you say? Like at this point, what can you say?
I hope somebody identifies as Black and then wins it. That would just be peak liberal insanity. I really hope it happens.
Oh, there's the classic buzzer. I know there was going to be somebody cursing that name, but it's nice to hear you back there, old friend. Climate activists continue perfect prediction track record. We got to show the Greta Thunberg tweet. Yeah, here, give me a sec, and we'll pull it up.
Okay, well, I'll give you a few secs, and while we're waiting for
you just
you should start pulling it up before you start talking about pulling it up.
Really, I should run 6 different things.
It's all about time management. Dude, this is why we're always over.
Yeah, sure. It's all Sean's fault, folks. For some reason, Greta just deleted this. We were just getting to the really good part, and if you scroll down, you can see it's a tweet from 5 years ago. And what she said was, a top climate scientist is warning that the climate change will wipe out of all of humanity unless we stop using fossil fuels over the next 5 years. That was from essentially 5 years ago. It was from June 21st, 2018.
So, I mean, there's still a couple weeks to go. But, Sean, are you part of humanity? Have you guys been wiped out?
Oh, man.
Did I miss the memo?
Scotch tastes pretty good on this side, big fella. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it's like I don't really know what we can possibly say other than this is the same shit that keeps happening. Like, why do you think An Inconvenient Truth, the movie that won Al Gore an Oscar and made him a shit ton of money, why do you think it's not on Netflix or anywhere, right? It's because all of his predictions, which were very generously hyperbolic, have all failed to come to fruition. Right? This is the sky is falling. This is just the classic fake messianic bullshit where they predict the doomsday and then it doesn't happen, and then they're like, oh yeah, I just I was on daylight savings time So yeah, that's why it's off by a little bit. And then they just adjust it and move the goalposts. Speaking of daylight savings time, if you're feeling groggy over the next couple days, you could thank your government for being a bureaucratic piece of shit and giving us unnecessary complications in our lives.
I thought, to me, when we talk climate change,
Climate activists,
that's
yeah,
right.
that's the perfect sound effect.
There's a little bit of money rolling through there. Government pipeline ruptures its budget. Here you go. Hold on to your hats,
Mhm.
folks. Okay, this one's gonna hurt your brain a little bit. At least it hurt mine. The expected price tag of the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion has increased once again. Now projected to hit almost 31 billion. And you're gonna.
Who could have predicted this?
Nobody could have predicted this. This was, anyways, there's no way to predict such a thing. The latest estimate of 30.9 billion released by Trans Mountain Corp on Friday is an increase of more than 300% from the initial 7.4 billion that former owner Kinder Morgan Canada laid out in 2017.
Mhm.
Now close to 80% complete, the pipeline is expected to come into service in the first quarter of 2024. And article went on to say the existing Trans Mountain Pipeline carries 300,000 barrels of oil a day and is Canada's only pipeline system transporting oil from Alberta to the West Coast. It was bought by the federal government in 2018 for 4.5 billion, and the expansion will raise output by quite a surmountable or big sum, 890,000 barrels. Anyways, that's just the specs. We're going from 7.4 billion to 30.9.
Yeah. So here's the thing is people do lots of what they're good at, right? Companies like Kinder Morgan are good at making pipelines and managing them.
You mean the
And
government isn't good at doing a pipeline?
no. The government is very good at one key thing here. They're good at making things take longer and cost more because the longer they take and the more they cost, the more money the individual people involved get paid. You have this reverse incentive to do as shitty of a job as possible because if you're just signed on until the project's done, well, what if we just took an extra couple of years to do the project? Well, wouldn't that work out for you financially as a person? Like governments create more bureaucracy, they create more expense, and then when you put them in charge of a capital project like this, they're going to do the exact same thing because it's what they know how to do. None of this is the least bit surprising. Uh,
I talked to
myself
I talked
and so many other people have been saying this is going to be the case forever.
I talked to my father today. We're sitting having coffee, and I'm
Mhm.
just like, you know, got the Tuesday mashup tonight. Gonna hear about how the government just continues to blow money like,
Mhm.
it hurts your head. And it continues to happen. You just see it over and over
Mhm.
and over and over again. And it's just this wild, filthy beast that just consumes and wastes and doesn't get anything done, leaves a mess in their wake, and then blames all of us.
Yep.
We're the ones
But I
funding the
mean,
damn
they
thing.
they shut it down for months this summer because they found hummingbirds in the way. And here's one of the other really interesting things that it's not really the focal point of this, but they apparently found more than 83,000 First Nations artifacts while they were twinning this pipeline. Okay. So the the original pipeline's already there. It got dug up, they put a pipeline in, they poured a bunch of dirt over top of it. It goes back to nature. They come back 50 years later, and the same ground that they put in there 50 years ago now has 83,000 Indian artifacts on it. That seems a
Don't
little
ask
bit excessive.
questions,
And the
don't
other
ask
thing is,
questions.
okay, just bear with me for one more second here. If you found 83,000 anything artifacts in one dig, that would be global news. Not global news like our shitty fucking partisan
It's
bullshit.
true.
Like it would be news across the entire planet. Oh, if we found 83,000 hieroglyphs or 83,000 Aztec
Pyramids?
human sacrifice knives or whatever else,
Sure.
like that would be monumental. That would be one of the largest archaeological discoveries pretty much ever. So, yeah, and apparently they found it in a place that they had just dug up and put the dirt back in 50 years ago. I feel like there's a bit of a grasp there.
Oh man, the NDP are not a serious party.
They
Hope they don't
aren't.
shit on you, Bubbles. Shit on who? Shit hogs. Big, dirty shit hogs.
Okay, you called it audible. I like it.
I was telling
How
twos,
about that?
everybody comes with what we should do for NDP is not a serious party. Anyways, we're having a little fun with the Trailer Park Boys, another Canadian, thing
Icon.
icon. That's right.
Yep.
Anyways, the shithawks. While you struggle to pay your food, this is Yagmeet Singh. While you struggle to pay your food, gas, housing, CEOs continue to rack up their profits. A 50% pay raise for Shell's CEO while workers in the country struggle to pay the bills.
No,
It's
workers in
not,
this country struggle to pay the bills.
sorry, in this country struggle to pay the bills. It's not fair.
Okay, real quick, little bit of perspective here, which seems to be missing from this tweet. I don't know why. First off, Shell is a Dutch and English company with headquarters in London. They're traded on the London stock market. They aren't Canada. Secondly, it fails to mention that the CEO took a 50% pay cut in 2019 and a 50% pay cut again in 2020. Okay. So let's say you have $1 and then it gets cut in half, and then it gets cut in half again, and then it doubles. How much money do you have?
I don't know, Twos. You seem to be the mathematician. Can you lead me through it? Because I've been listening to so much.
37
I've been
cents.
I've been listening to so much government bullshit. My brain doesn't function anymore.
Okay. When something gets halved and then doubled, it doesn't go back to the original amount. It's still only 75%. So half of it, 50 cents, half of it again, 25 cents. Now you multiply that by 150%, and now you're at 37.5
Who do you think is
cents.
supporting the NDP party? Like, do you think they just how are you voting for this guy?
Honestly, you've never sat down and you've never asked yourself, is what I'm being told factual? Does it make sense? Does this actually, are there any holes in it? Like, how I personally got interested in politics was because I've got a good buddy of mine from high school. His wife has some family connections to the Saskatchewan NDP party. And so, talking to her and everything she was saying, I was like, well, that doesn't sound quite right. Well, that doesn't, and I don't know anything about it, but you're like, I don't know. Like, something isn't right here, but I have no idea what it is. And then just a little bit of curiosity, and I'm like, oh, this is all bullshit.
Like
Like, just straight bullshit.
it's kind of wild to think that the NDP won in Alberta. Now I know that was a big FU to
It
conservatives.
was an absolute FU to the establishment bullshit
That's right.
conservative party.
That's right. But then
Calling an election early to capitalize on the Wild Rose turmoil, and then telling everybody to look in the mirror.
yeah. And then you realize the NDP also, was a leader of Saskatchewan for as long as they were, and you're like, just how? Just
No.
how?
It makes perfect sense that Alberta picked the NDP to be in charge in 2015, because here's the thing is a lot of really proud people, a lot of people who don't like being taken advantage of, a lot of people who would rather die on their feet than live on their knees. And so you look at it and you've got this establishment party that just doesn't give a fuck. Alison Redford, Thomas Lukasik, like these actual liberals who just wouldn't have a place in politics if it wasn't for the fact that they joined the winning party. And they're just like, we're going to do whatever the hell we want, and you guys are going to suck it up, because what are you going to do? Vote for the socialists?
Whoops.
And then eventually it got to the point where it was like, you know what? Fuck you. I know this is a bad idea, but it's going to hurt you more than it hurts me. So buckle up, bucko.
Oh, we should just end it there. That right there made my week. That probably is on a lot of shirts. But rather die on my feet than live on my knees. Yeah, I like that. I like that too. Getting off your ass can help pull your head out of it. Here is probably the funniest, most head scratching article we have all week, in my opinion. And it has nothing to
serious.
I'm telling you, man, I started reading this. I couldn't even finish it. This is the only article I did not finish. Okay, I'm going to read you what
Oh my
I
God,
got
here
to.
we go. Sean didn't read it again.
Let me tell you, folks, suggesting someone struggling with depression or anxiety should start exercise more usually comes up across as patronizing. But a new study in the powerful impact of exercise can have on our mental health suggests exercise should generally be considered as the first option for treating depression and anxiety. You fucking think so?
Yep.
You think exercise helps a person? Jeez, this is earth-breaking stuff. Like I had no flipping idea.
Anybody who does this kind of thing on even somewhat of a regular basis will jump at the chance to tell you that if you're dealing with any kind of shit up here, you get this stuff right and it goes a long way. It's not saying that it's a magic cure-all. And obviously
But
the
it kind,
headline
but
is
it
us
kind of is.
having a bit
But
of
it
fun
kind
with
of
it.
is.
Well, it's not a cure-all, but it's a definitely huge help.
Researchers say the fact that exercise has measurably positive impact across so many studies supports the idea that it should be considered seriously as a therapeutic intervention prescribed to patients. Like this is
We
an
should have
art.
been having this conversation 3 years ago, I think.
Well, I mean, they literally shut down all the bloody gyms, too. I didn't like everything that gave some mental health. But you see it, anyways. This just pisses me off to no
Nope.
end.
Eat your
And
pills. Eat your
I'm,
pills and your bugs.
anyways, U.S. politician. Now here we go from Sean being like, absolutely, this is tough to read. Like I can't even believe this is in a news. Like, anyways, like that's been in. Just stick it on this for a second. That right there, exercise has been in every magazine I have read for like my entire life. That's what Men's Health is literally built upon.
I'm pretty sure Maxim doesn't talk about it every month, Sean.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay, fair. All right. Actually, it probably does too. I bet you it does. I bet if we looked, it probably talks about it.
I've got a giant stack of them from like 10 years ago.
How many maxims did you read cover to cover, twos?
Hundreds probably. I got like pretty much every month for I don't know. I'd say
Who's
at
your favorite
least
maxim?
Rebecca remains Stamos.
Rebecca remains Stamos. Okay. Yeah,
It was
okay.
like the first or second issue, like 1998, 99. You're just like, yeah. It was right when X-Men was about to come out. Remember that movie?
Maxim. I'm trying to find it for you. Images.
Oh, we're gonna pull it up on the show.
Oh, why not? Why not?
Sure. Okay. In
Well,
the meantime, however, we could keep moving along while you look for that, or we could just sit here awkwardly waiting. Maybe we need a sound effect.
I was kind of curious. This is Two's favorite maxim, folks. There you go.
Nope. That's yes, technically, but that's from something like 2008 or 9.
Oh my god.
There's an issue from 1999, 98.
Okay.
Where she was also on the cover that I was thinking of specifically.
Like
But
back
I remember that. I remember that episode.
You're talking X-Men days, and you might even have said that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
1998. 1998. We'll see what comes up. All right. We'll see.
This is why we go over time.
Yeah, you know what though? You got my curiosity piqued, and so I'm gonna see if I can't find it for the listener because I know they care. I know they're sitting there going, Sean and Two's talking about Rebecca remains Stamos on oh no, where did it go? Oh, there it is. There, okay, here. Now the listener's gonna be like, that's the one you're talking about. Yes?
That's not even the one I was talking about either. That's from about 2004.
Geez, she really graced the cover a lot, eh? All right.
He's
Well,
very graceful.
Let's
just leave it and move along.
You know what's gonna happen too? You realize how many people are gonna text me the cover of Maxim tomorrow? Anyways,
I don't see that as being a bad thing for anybody.
Okay, fair. All right. Okay, Sean will get this thing back on track. We're gonna go to the U.S. The U.S. politician deals with a pile of bullshit. It's a video of a snowplow operator dealing with a U.S. politician losing his absolute and uncontrollable
Just
shit.
going absolutely right uncorked on this dude. It is insane. Like it's the kind of thing where I don't even know if you caught one of us on our absolute worst days, where we're maybe like 5 seconds away from a literal mental breakdown, maybe that's how we would react. But part of me gets it because at this point in the winter, I am so sick of shoveling snow, man. I
Are you getting the
completely
ball right?
understand. I
Is
feel
that what
like it's misdirected, putting it at the snowplow driver, but
snowplow guy's trying to he's
I
losing it. He's
get.
like, "Could you plow the snow over here? Could you plow the snow over here? Could you plow the
Yeah,
snow over
and
here?"
he's
And then the
just
plow
running around, jumping in and out of snowbanks, yelling at the top of his lungs. It's it's a wonderful thing to check out. We should actually just put a link to it in the show
I
notes as
tell you what,
well
in the
because it's
show
worth
notes, if you're
watching.
listening to the podcast, I'll put the link in. That way you can go and have yourself a chuckle. I would pull it up on here, but it's
I'm pretty much just as done with winter as that guy is.
oh goodness. That's yeah. Anyways, that's great. That's great. Okay. A laughter in there. That's great. There's no vacation from justice. This is I don't know. This is like we're in the comedy section of this show now, I guess.
This
Like
There's a lot of bizarre shit that happened this week, Sean.
Russell Brown, a justice of Canada's Supreme Court, is on indefinite paid leave following an altercation that occurred while he was on vacation after he alleged to have been drunkenly attempted to follow hotel guests back to their rooms, according to a police report reviewed by an insider. On January 28th, Brown was a speaker at a gala and celebrating a former colleague's receipt of Sandra Day O'Connor Justice Prize from Arizona State University. Following the celebrations, the reportedly inebriated judge approached a group in a hotel lounge and sat with them. He said the guy who alleged all these things on him said he said the male was creepy. This is Crump. Said the male was touching his female companions and kissing them on the hand, according to a police report, which included statements from witnesses who told police they'd asked Brown to stop his behavior. Crump said they all began to walk back to their hotel rooms. The drunk male said he was going with them and followed them. The police report continued to protect the women and to prevent the drunk, creepy, unwanted male from entering the hotel room uninvited. Crump punched the male a few times. And here's what Brown said on the flip side. He said Brown's statement indicated that he had left the lounge at the same time as the group he was accompanying, and Mr. Crump suddenly, without warning or provocation, punched the justice several times in the head, adding that he did not defend himself and that the incident caused him embarrassment and created complications for the court. And he's hopeful the council will resolve this matter expeditiously.
Well, if he got punched completely undeservedly, why didn't he press charges? When the police came the next day to take his statement at his hotel room, why did he refuse to answer the door? They're like, hello, Mr. Judge guy on vacation, super important dude who was trying to read parts of his speech to these girls he was trying to bang in the hotel bar. Yeah, hey, it's us, the police. We understand that you got punched for no reason, and we would like to get a statement from you.
Could he have just said, listen, guys, I got really drunk and I just don't really remember and just like fessed up to it? Could he have done that? Or is in his position he can't do that?
Well, he's on indefinite paid leave, so I don't think it really fucking matters because he's just making bank for doing even less work than a public servant does already. But what's wrong with one of these guys just saying, like, I am not the first person to make a stupid decision while I was hammered, and I really can't defend it. I'm not going to get into it. But we've all been there, at least to some extent. And I'm not going to be taking any further questions. But are you going to finish that pina colada over there?
Hope they don't shit on you, Bubbles. Shit on who? Shit hogs. Big, dirty shit hogs.
Dirty judge. I don't know. 61 million in drug charges go up in smoke. A sprawling 6-month police investigation which spanned the continent drew on an international police agencies and
Bring
netted
up the picture while you're talking about it.
Oh God! Now you're gonna give me a sec here. Twos, it's
Well,
funny. He literally goes, I'm the guy slowing this whole thing up, right? But I asked him at the start. I'm gonna bring these all up. Does he say, "Oh, bring the picture up at the start"? No. So what does Sean got to do? He's got to scroll back.
That's fair.
Fine,
That's fair. I've said that I was going to work on it, and I totally haven't.
Man alive, folks.
Okay, so A sprawling 6-month investigation, which spanned the continent, drew on international police agencies and netted a staggering
Is that how I sound?
61
Is
million
that
in illegal drugs. Oh, this is hurting my brain. Came undone suddenly as one by one, 10 alleged players nabbed in Toronto's largest international drug takedown were unceremoniously released. All the accused are free to go. Ontario Court Judge Russell Silverstein. I think I'm going to say this wrong. It's Silverstein. Silverstein. Sorry if you're listening to this. I got it wrong. Told the court during a brief proceeding inside Old City Hall Monday morning.
Now, let me fucking tell you, all the fucking cops are fucking corrupt, and I mean, just fucking hell. I mean, fuck me, and yeah, like this is the way it is, and cops are just the worst. And you know, somehow the liberals are tied up in this, and the NDP isn't a real party. Is that how this sounds? I feel like that's pretty much. Are we doing this right? Don't worry about Tooz. I mean, on the other side though, he doesn't really have much to say. He wears that stupid white ball cap, and you know, he just comes on here and smiles and nods, and doesn't really do any work.
I need a minute. Okay.
There's your bloody picture. All right. There's his bloody picture.
Oh my God. I can't believe it took you that long to put up a fucking picture. Okay. So basically the Crown dropped all charges without saying why. And there is literal tables full of cocaine piled up in this picture. There's $61 million worth of drugs in this picture, supposedly. And they caught the people doing it. They caught it with a trucking scheme where they're custom building trucks with secret compartments in them. And when it all got busted, they charged everybody, put them in jail, and then after a whole bunch of time, figured out that, oh, you know what, we're just going to release them and not explain to the public why. They just say, you have to trust us.
Yeah, correct. So what do you think it is? You think it's police screwed up, or do you think it's they got way too much money and they bought some people off? Like, what do you think when you throw it around?
Honestly, it's just speculation. I think that the chances of them getting confessions out of these people, you know, getting them to roll over for people higher up the food chain is probably unlikely, because I feel like the people higher up the food chain would be in different countries that this stuff, you know, like Mexico, Colombia, whatever, right? So it probably wouldn't do them a whole lot of good to let all these guys go to bust somebody in Canada for something that they're never going to visit Canada anyway. So it's just completely extraneous. I'm wondering if maybe possibly it was the same kind of thing like what happened last week, where that guy got off on the manslaughter charge because the cop didn't sign the form.
Yeah, I hope it isn't that. Like, you just hope it isn't like something like really simple where they just didn't dot an I or cross a T. I guess like it's bad either way, because if it's police corruption, it's bad. If it's a simple like clerical error, it's like, I don't know. That's just as painful.
But yeah, I mean, that's the other thing is it just somebody really powerful who said, we need this to go away? And they said, well, it's $61 million worth of cocaine. Do you have any idea how many plastic straws it's going to take to make that go away?
Yeah. Okay. Let's see if we can get this show. 46. What a ride this has been. I bet you Vern and Barb weren't expecting this debauchery on here this week. They're like, we sponsored this. Governor General cries into her beef. Wellington Governor General Mary Simon says she hopes to start a conversation on abuse and online bullying, building on her own experiences with the issues since taking office. In an interview with CBC News Network's Power and Politics airing on Friday, Simon, funny, neither one of us got hired for that job. Anyways, Simon reflected on her recent decision to close online comments on her social media channels and release a video highlighting racist, misogynistic, and abusive insults she's received online. When something happens to me personally, I try and use it as an opportunity to create a discussion about those issues, she told David Cochran.
So one of the things I found interesting was that the whole time in this entire article, there was never any pushback on it. Because, yeah, like I went and looked at the Instagram post, and there was a little bit of racism thrown in there, and then a lot of it was just generic "you suck at your job" type things, where people not defending them, but getting a little bit over animated. But there's been a lot of legitimate criticism of this new governor general and just the governor general position in general, really. But I mean, we've talked about it. This whole Beef Wellington on a flight to India that cost, what was it, like a few $1 million or whatever it was?
Like
Just
literally, people are struggling right now.
yeah.
And you have a not a fictitious, because it's obviously a position in Parliament, but it's kind of like, does it need to be there?
It's an absolutely frivolous position.
Thank you.
I would
That's the word
say.
I'm
Yeah.
looking for.
And
And so,
it just runs up. It just treats Canada like an ATM. And when
Well, the
this
thing-
woman, like, she gets a lot of very valid criticisms, and those are never addressed. And like, I get the fact that there's a few idiots out there who say the wrong things, but there's been a lot of very concrete criticisms to her position and the way she has been operating in that position, and the absolute disregard for the state Canadians are in, and the fact that it's their money paying for her to do this. And then to just brush it all off as racism and doesn't get a single ounce of pushback from power in politics. Well, you know what? The power in politics comes from the Liberal government, and that's why the CBC fucking exists.
Yeah, it's interesting. Anytime anyone in a position like that gets criticized, it always comes back to racism, misogyny, all these different things, and you're just
trying
like,
to Rachel
don't
Gilmore her way out of it.
don't get me wrong. Are there some dummies out there who are saying some pretty stupid things? Absolutely, they're everywhere. They attack pretty much everyone. But there is a lot. Anytime you're rolling around kind of flamboyantly, because we've addressed these articles over the course of 46 mashups, and you don't realize that. That's kind of sad, because that's what the people are upset about. People are struggling, and you're still finding ways to piss money away. That isn't just her. That is the entire Liberal government. That is every government right now in my eyes. I don't have a lot of time for many of them, and if any of them for that matter. And it just continues to be this, we're going to turn comments off because that's going to make it stop, like that's going to turn the heat off, like, come on. Anyways.
Sound effect? You got a sound effect?
Thinking about it.
Boop. Okay, yeah, that one's way better.
Maybe when you're impersonating me, you could do all the sound. Oh, wait, you don't have access to that. So how about you suck on it, twos? Okay. How about you suck on it? Alberta NDP want free everything for everyone except their critics. Using a line called from every mafia movie, the Alberta NDP said it's nothing personal before it cut off electronic communications with the Western Standard for writing hit pieces, despite the fact the Western Standard is an accredited member of the press gallery. Benjamin Aldrich from the official opposition caucus said the Western Standard, which he claims is not a news source, have we heard different government people say that before about different anyways.
Yep.
Put his people at risk when writing about the NDP. I take the safety of my people very seriously, and your employer is compromising that, he said via text after the Western Standard contacted him to apologize for its part in a heated hallway discussion where a Western Standard reporter and Aldrich went toe-to-toe. According to Aldrich, Western Standard hit piece stories caused the Alberta NDP to receive death threats via email, and the Western Standard employee asked him to produce the emails, but then entered into a anyways.
Yeah. So it went a little bit sideways. It sounds like maybe the Western Standard guy involved, the fact that he wasn't even named, implies that maybe he got a little bit heated at the moment. But at the same time, you can't just, if you're a government entity and you're trying to win an election or stay relevant or whatever the idiot NDP are doing nowadays, you can't just turn people away. Because here's the thing. Yes, they're kind of hit pieces, but that's because they're fairly inaccurately reporting on how much the NDP are fucking retards.
I don't think we're getting accredited anytime soon, too. So that's just me. If you love them, let them go. Here again, man, this is, and of course,
you're like, oh yeah, you thought that the the working out article was the most bizarre thing we had. No. That's not the. You got the wrong one. We haven't even got to that shit show yet. We're looking at the Hamilton police inmate asylum or
Oh yeah,
inmate
sorry.
mistakenly released. from Barton
Hamilton
Street
police say
jail.
they are seeking an inmate who was mistakenly released from the Barton Street jail last week. Spokesperson Constable
Bring up this
Indy
picture.
Barhen told Global News in an email that Sean Delaney, 45, was improperly released from a Hamilton Wentworth detention center Friday, March 3rd, and has not served the full sentence connected with his incarceration.
Okay, so they accidentally let him out. I'm not sure if they let the wrong guy go or they screwed up how long he'd been there for. Maybe it's daylight savings time again. But they accidentally let this guy out when he was still serving time. And then now he's eluding police officers and whatever else. Well, of course he is. Look at those fucking ears. He hears you coming a mile away, right? But I don't know. Like, on the one hand, you think, okay, criminals need to be locked up, and that's fair. On the other hand, if a judge says you're in here till we let you out, and then they accidentally let you out early, you'd be like, look, technically I did serve my time and you let me out, so I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want now, and you guys can eat a dick. So I can appreciate the fact that he's not being overly cooperative with their efforts to fix their mistake.
I'm actually trying to figure out what I would do in that situation, right? Like you get let out. It's like, there's no way you're taking me back. You just let me out.
I'd
You
go to
told me I'm good to
Belize.
go.
I'd get to Belize. I'd get on a boat and I'd just sail down to Belize where they don't have extradition and also no taxes.
Oh man, that's a perfectly timed. Okay, here we go. How about another one? Manhunt on for perp who allegedly forced people to watch Ed Sheeran impression. Of course, I brought it up and then I had the wrong one. Here we go. Let's try this again.
This is the one. This guy who is 22 or 23 years old, yeesh, he doesn't look a day over 60.
Says Winnipeg police are asking for public assistance in locating 23-year-old Gren Balshatler of Winkler, Manitoba. Police confirm he is currently residing somewhere in the north end of the city. Gren has convinced 3 churches that he is Ed Sheeran and even went as far as performing The Shape of You in front of a Calvary temple on Sunday. When detective asked the pastor why he believed the real Ed Sheeran would perform for $25 and a sandwich, he said that he assumed the celebrity had fallen on tough times.
I would say if that actually was Ed Sheeran, Jesus Christ. And that guy's 23.
Oh,
And
man.
like, I get the fact that you're really starting out behind the 8 ball when your last name is Balsackton. But I mean, like that's pretty rough. He looks like a leprechaun and a wizard had an inbred baby.
I mean, it's funny. I listened to it and I'm like, this has been a random week. I mean, all weeks are random, but we're banging on the government for how much money they've spent.
We just
And
go where the
certainly
news takes us, Sean.
I know. And this week has taken us in a lot of different places, let me tell you. Which brings us to everyone's fan favorite, I think. Anyways.
We like to say people kind, not necessarily mankind.
Yeah.
More inclusive.
There we go, exactly. Yes, thank you.
And the budget will balance itself.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
No offense. The myriad bullshit that is the China story. Well, what do you want to talk about, Twos? I don't even know here. The saga that it is.
I was thinking, like, how can we possibly cover this in any sort of a succinct amount of time? I'm working on an episode right now that I was hoping to have done this morning, which is yesterday morning when you guys are listening to this. And it's just this deep dive. And then I saw Quick Dick McDick did an episode about it. And I'm like, oh, if he stole a bunch of my jokes, not stole, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
And if someone comes up with the same joke that you've got written down and you just haven't done anything with it yet, you're like, oh, but luckily we're covering the same idea, but we're going in different directions, I think. But there's so much here that I think really all we can really do to just cover it succinctly in kind of mashup fashion is maybe just to hit a few key bullet points.
Sure. Okay. Well. Here's the bullet points you got rolled down. All right.
Mhm.
Trudeau had his election future saved in 2015 by a bunch of out of province people with Chinese names. He said the allegations are false, but the RCMP investigation with whistleblowers says otherwise. Trudeau is alleged to have been briefed about it in 2019 and 2021, did nothing, and he talked about it meaning nothing, and then later on this year talks about how they're going to look into it further. Vincent Kay, former Ontario Conservative MPPP, is alleged to have been a conduit for dirty Chinese election money and has been kicked out of the party. Mary, how do you know of
Ing?
all Ning? Sure.
Probably.
Has ties to an alleged Chinese front for election tampering, but is refusing to comment. Canada paid out $4.2 million in foreign aid to China in 2020, while the Michaels were kidnapped. The Trudeau Foundation gave back $200K that had been funneled to them from the Chinese government. Anything else we're missing?
I mean, that's pretty much it right there. It's the story has expanded so much from when we started talking about it last week. And I'm kind of worried that there's so much bullshit fuckery afoot that people are going to be missing out on what this actually means because it's just wham, wham, wham. But Trudeau was a dead horse in 2015. And there was a poll that came out, excuse me, in September of 2015, saying that he was losing his riding by, I think, 9 points. And then in October, you had almost every single donation to his riding come in. And out of all of it, there was something like 270 some unique names donating. And only 30 of them weren't obviously Chinese names. And only about 6% of the total donations were in Quebec, let alone Papineau. But only 6% of his riding's donations were in fucking Quebec. And so you had this guy who was scrambling for a lifeline. And China comes along and they're like, well, we could save you. We can make this happen. And he's been in their pocket ever since. Like, just imagine the direction our country would be in right now if China had not taken an active role in saving Justin Trudeau's political career in 2015.
It is a wild thought, isn't it? I mean, a pretty happy thought because he's caused me a lot of pain in the last, however many elections now he's been elected. But
yeah, every time we want to get mad at the GTA voters for voting Liberal, we got to get equally mad at the Chinese Communist Party for being the people who even made it all possible in the first place.
For looking at our election rules and finding ways to make it work for what they wanted.
Well, I mean, they just looked at it and they said, okay, well, what can we do that wouldn't technically get us kicked out of the country and blackball on the international stage, but could still get the job done, right? It's like that Apollo 13 scene where they've got that pile of stuff they pour out on the table. And they're like, we need to make this thing fit in this hole. And we can only use the stuff on the table. And then they make it happen.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong too. When I read all the different articles and listened to some different things and everything else, it's they went to strongholds, like a liberal stronghold or a conservative stronghold where they knew the person was going to win and didn't focus on the election. Because in order to vote in an election, you have to be a Canadian citizen or
a lot more stringent.
Rules. But
they are for the nomination.
In a party nomination, you do not. So, like, my wife is a permanent resident. She can still vote in the party.
They're taking our jobs.
And so, what did they do? They looked at strongholds, found a candidate that sympathizes to whatever they're, and helped them win because they knew they'd win the election because it's a liberal or it's a conservative stronghold. And when you think about that, I'm like, fuck, that's like actually quite ingenious, except for it isn't us doing it. It's a foreign country doing it. I think I said this like a couple episodes ago. Can you imagine if a bunch of conservatives, or maybe not conservatives, I don't want to, I don't know what I can say that doesn't get me in more trouble than I probably already am.
Getting all kinds of trouble. I do it every week.
Well, can you imagine if we just picked out some NDP strongholds in Edmonton and went, let's just get
You
our
should
guy
have
elected.
that conversation with Corey Morgan and see how it goes.
Oh,
yeah, Corey Morgan ran for the
yeah, but Corey Morgan, it's got to be a little more subtle than Corey Morgan, doesn't it?
It doesn't get any more subtle than Corey Morgan.
I disagree. I think it can get.
I'm looking forward to talking to him next week. Actually, I got to reach out to him. I haven't got his book yet, but I'm going to tell him to bring me up a copy.
Sad thing is Corey can't make it. He's got family things going on now, so you're going to have to give him a hard time.
I thought we were his family.
I thought so too. That leaves us with happy news, and this is
okay. Well,
funny.
Yeah, we need to turn this around because I'm crushed.
Yeah, I know. This is kind of funny. All right, this is the happy news. Flipping the bird, and I spelt it wrong. Flipping the bread, therapeutic and legal. It's what the listeners have come to expect. Vern and Barb, this is what they're paying for. Spelling errors on the mashup. Anyways.
Yeah, we charge you double to hit F7 after we punch all this in.
A Quebec court judge says Canadians have a God-given, constitutionally protected right to flip off obnoxious neighbors.
That is a direct quote.
That is a direct quote. Judge Dennis Galistatos made comments in February ruling acquitting a Montreal area man of criminal harassment, adding that the fact the man was arrested and prosecuted at all was bewildering injustice. Police arrested Neil Epstein in May 2021 after he flipped two middle fingers at a neighbor, Michael Nakash, who had threatened him while holding a power tool. And he says, literally, give him the double B.
Yeah, so the judge threw it out because he said it was completely frivolous. He actually said, Galias Satos wrote in acquitting Epstein, no relation, that he wished he could literally, not just figuratively, throw the case out of court. So the next time someone's pissing you off, flip them off, because our courts have ruled on it and it's totally fine.
Yeah, that's just great, you know? How do you I don't know, like we've had that happy news. The fact that gets ruled as anyways, you get the point. Here's some comments. Okay, we're at the end here. We gotta talk about this too. Okay, we're gonna talk about it live. That way, people listening tomorrow morning and tonight can have their say on this, because I'm kind of at a crux on this. You know, by the time we get to the comments at the end, I read back through them and I go,
that's not what a crux means, but continue.
Anyways, I'm at this point where I'm like, it's a crossroads or something. I don't know. Anyways, where we bring up the comments, and the first one is, what the hell? Never got a dime to buy our first home. I'm choked, and darn, I missed out the boat color wise. This is disgusting. That's Barb Golka.
I missed the boat color wise.
Yes. Anyways, this is going all the way back. So my question to the listeners and to you is, while we're going through this, should a guy be reading these or picking out a few to read for each story if they pop up? If they don't pop up, whoop-de-doo. Or do you just continue on at the end and we just read through them and we try and make sense of them the best we can?
Barb, I got to tell you, like, I
get
where you're coming from.
You got to answer my question first.
Do we do them up as they
come, or at the end?
I mean, you already got 6 jobs. You're the hardest working candy in town, man. I don't know if we could give you one more and not have this whole thing fall apart.
I tell you what, it's fallen apart many a time. What's one more job? I mean, Two's is just going to sit there and scream at the recording anyways. So
I'm just the good looks. I'm the honeypot that keeps people coming in every week.
Sure.
But to Barb's comment, I understand where you're coming from. It's frustrating. My first home wasn't subsidized by the government either. But think about how difficult it must be for these members of parliament when they're buying their second, third, and fourth cottages in Ontario, because that's what they call them in Ontario. And now they have to look at other people just getting the down payments for free.
I guess so. Zane says,
my man.
What was her name again? Why am I for Rebecca?
Romaine Stamos.
Yeah. I said 98. Anyway, Zane saying, once again, Twos is not wrong on the Maxim cover. See, everybody's getting stuck. I haven't talked Maxim, like, geez, that's a long time ago.
Mhm.
I said the only problem I can't find, like, I have no idea which cover I'm looking for. You know,
It's just okay.
you know. Anyways, I'll keep reading. He's gonna go look for the cover because I pull up two, folks. I can't find the one. Anyways. Carol Scobie says, yet they hold 4 political prisoners in jail without due process. I think she's talking Coots. Yes.
Probably, yeah.
You know, I fingers crossed, folks. Fingers crossed. I get to sit down with Tamara Leach. That'll be episode 400. That'll be this
That's
Friday.
pretty monumental.
I think so, for multiple things. But talking about political prisoners, you know, I'm interested to hear about, you know, I mean, she's pretty much had a gag order on her for a year now. She's come out on a couple different shows and heard her talk a little bit, and certainly to get to sit with her will be interesting. But yes, political prisoners in Canada is a wild thing. Barb also said, quite entertaining. She's laughing out loud. While I'm doing taxes, saves me cussing out Trudeau. And she kept on laughing. Arnie Barron said, it's all smoke and mirrors. Look over here while over there, their hand is in the piggy bank again. I actually quite agree. It is, you know, people are taking out of the old piggy bank. What can I say? But did you find it?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I haven't been listening. I've been scrolling through pictures of Rebecca Main Stamos.
Twos has a pretty tough life, doesn't he, folks? You know, like can we get some comments on here that just roast Twos? He's like, he forgets he's on a live show while he's looking. Like,
oh, you're still here, Sean?
oh, whoops! I didn't mean. Oh my goodness! You know, like this is what I put up with.
All right. Well, we'll just leave that. We'll sideline it. I don't know. Maybe we'll just put a picture up real quick at the start of the next episode. We can't dwell on it too long.
Fair enough. I'm not sure. This is Sandy. She said, I'm not sure what the left has to see before they realize JT is compromised. Chinese Canadians are being terrorized and the libs are letting it happen.
At some point, I get the fact that nothing's been definitively proven yet and that the truth hasn't come out in any of this, even though it seems like it would be really fucking easy to just say that, oh, hey, Trudeau was given this memo on this date. And then you'd be like, yeah, but I was stoned that day and I didn't read it. And that's going to be your best excuse, right? It should be pretty easy to bring the truth out. But at some point, there's this overwhelming mountain of allegations where you say, even if a tiny little speck of it is true, that's still way worse than anything we should be putting up with.
Here's okay. Here's I asked the question to Twos. Now Zane's commented. If the comments pop up during the stream, it does take time. I think though it keeps momentum on the subject at hand. Here's a thought for Twos, and I'm throwing him some.
I like where he's going with this.
I got some curveballs for you today, Twos. Here's my newest one.
All right.
What if the Tuesday mashup eventually grew to a second show a week, but the second show was something similar to this, but more of a call-in show, more of a interaction with the listener. And I'm totally throwing this at Tuesday and anyone listening because I'm curious.
I like it.
That way people could actually have their say. I don't know how we format it, and I don't know when we get there, folks. I want to be very clear. Me and Tuesday.
And now we're going live to John in Hanley. John, you're on the air. What do you think about the latest?
I used to steal Two's lunch money. That's probably what it comes down to, you know?
No, they kicked their ass at football, and I still haven't forgiven them.
Yeah. I don't know what. I hope this is on this, Zane. We the people agree? A call-in show? I don't know. Is that what it is? Anyways.
Okay.
I've been asked about it too, about doing something like that where people actually get to call in and you
they want to talk to us.
I guess so. They just want to have their voices heard, you know. Man, we're talking about current things going on. They can tell us what's going on in the provinces.
Canada right now.
100%. Anyways. Mashup 46. Vern and Barb got more than they bargained for this week.
Yeah. They either got their absolute money's worth or they're going to want it back.
That's once again, that's Risk and Hope Farm. They got a bull sale coming up March 26th. All the details in the show notes.
And Vern, Barb, thank you. This has been fun. We appreciate it.
We've managed to crack the hour mark this week. Dear God.
Oh, we're going to hear about it from Marty.
55 minutes since we were supposed to do 28 minutes. I'm blaming that on twos this week. Like we are the government. We found a way to just inflate it. Like
it's just a bunch of verbal bureaucracy.
Well, it's been fun, good sir. Looking forward to next week already because I just get to mess around with certain things like this, and this is how we're gonna end.
Hope they don't shit on you, Bubbles.
Shit on who?
Shithogs. Big, dirty shithogs.
We'll catch you next week, Tiz.
See ya.